You can't afford a home. In fact, home affordability in the US is the worst it has ever been. And the solution is so easy, it should make you angry. No, it's not because of all the illegal immigrants who are somehow buying up all the houses. And it's actually not even these massive corporations buying up all the single-family homes. The answer is way more basic than that. We simply do not have enough homes. In basically every metropolitan city in America, there is a major housing shortage. And it is no surprise that people want to live in these cities. There are way more career opportunities, which means that the salaries are usually way higher, and most people agree that the quality of life in cities is just better as well. So what's the solution? I'll tell you, it's definitely not freezing the rent, which has been shown to decrease housing supply over time. It is simply to build more houses. When there's more demand than there is supply, prices go up. The only effective way to reduce prices is to build more. And so if any politician provides any solution that isn't building more houses, then they are lying to you. The worst offenders are actually usually Democrats or liberals who engage in NIMBYism, or not in my backyard. In cities like San Francisco, there are very strict zoning laws about the type of buildings you can build. So even if there's a lot of demand for you to build more supply, you can't because the local people want to keep the property values high because they're homeowners. Prices for housing and rent in certain parts of America are actually falling. You want to know where they're falling the fastest? Texas and Florida. Why? Because they have added more units of housing than any other states by a mile. Wow, when you add more houses, prices drop. That's crazy. Wait, no it's not. It's simple supply and demand. Pressure politicians to build. The elected official with the highest approval rating in the nation right now is actually right here, the mayor of San Francisco, Daniel Lurie. And one of his most popular policies is actually enabling people to build more housing. It's that simple. Now follow me for more content.
We got breaking news. A study just came out that says that even if you make $100,000 per year, you still might not be able to afford a home. Now, the crazy part with this is it's not about home affordability. It's about interest rates. Like say you took your $100,000 and brought it back to COVID when interest rates were 3%. In those days, you would have been able to afford a $450,000 house, which is above the average price of the average home in the United States. Now, however, as interest rates get to 6 to 8%, people are only able to afford around $290,000 worth of property with the same income. Now, I'll share what you need to do in a moment in order to accomplish home ownership, but the other side of this is that there also are property taxes that are going through the roof. My house, for instance, I started off paying $1,300 every 3 months. Now I'm up to $2,000 every 3 months, and it's only been 3 years. Let me know if you think this is fair, but it seems like if you want to go and buy a house, you're probably going to have to marry someone or combine incomes with someone to do so.
Yeah, but I feel like after COVID, like the affordability of everything has just gone up, and especially now that he's pointed out the fact that the interest rates have almost doubled, or like more than doubled, like that's just crazy, you know what I mean? And like knowing that you can't afford a home, even if you're making $100,000, when $100,000 is like in the lower percentage of America, you know what I mean? Like that's just scary, bro.
Young people can't buy homes, and it's becoming harder and harder every day. It's one of the biggest problems we face as a country. They tell you that over and over, but they never explain why. The media is not interested in educating you. They're interested in you being mad about it. And developers and banks, they profit off you not knowing. A home that would cost you $24,000 in the beginning of 1970s, at the end of 2020 would have cost you $340,000.
See, bro, that's like the inflation that we talk about in all my videos, bro. But although, you know, obviously, inflation is always going to happen, but the cost of but wages have not kept up with this inflation and increase in prices and everything, you know what I mean?
Now, part of that's just simple inflation. It happens over time. And natural inflation would raise the price of that home to $177,000. But that delta between $177,000 and $340,000, something else is up. And the biggest component of that is you're not buying the same house. See, all those numbers are based upon the average home. An average home in the 1950s had 983 square feet. By the 1970s, it was up to 1,500 square feet, but today it's over 2,600 square feet. All this while the number of people living in those homes is dropping dramatically. In 1950s, everybody had 290 square feet to themselves. Today, every person in the average home has 1,000 square feet.
No, I just thought about that. Like, houses are bigger now, so then obviously it's gonna be more expensive. They can make the argument that it's gonna be more expensive because it's bigger, and like, and it takes up more space. So then there's less homes, and there's less homes, so you could raise the price because there's less homes. You know what I'm saying? That's supply and demand, right?
That's bigger than a home that an entire family lived in the 1950s. And that's only part of the problem because that's livable space. The biggest growth has happened in non-livable space. In the 1950s, the 1970s, most people had carports. Today, they have 2, 3, and even 4-car garages. Those garages are bigger than the houses people were buying in the 1970s. It's not only driving up the price of the home, but all of your other expenses as well. You pay more in property tax, you pay more in utilities, you pay more in interest on your loan, in maintenance, in furniture, in cleaning. Everything is more expensive because the homes are bigger. United States food portions are known the world over for their excessiveness, and larger portions mean larger people. Larger homes mean larger costs. Larger costs means young people aren't able to afford homes. One of the biggest financial mistakes you will make in your life is to buy the home that you're told you can afford. You can't. Buy a home that costs half of what they tell you can afford. Figuring that out is one of the reasons why I'm able to now live on a small Caribbean island. After my divorce, I was getting ready to buy a home, and I looked at all the big expensive homes that people like me were buying, and a light bulb went off. And instead, I bought a small 850 square foot loft, and I lived in that instead at dramatically reduced cost. Because I wasn't house poor, I could then take that money and put it into my savings account. So when I came down to the small Caribbean island, I got drunk in a bar and I decided to buy property and build a house, I had the money available. So when you're sitting there thinking, I want a big home and I want more space and I want to look successful like other people, what dreams is that larger payment taking away from you? What are you giving up? Is all that financial strife and all that anxiety and all that feeling like you just can't get caught up, is that worth it?
So my interpretation of this is like live below your means, especially in relation to a house, and then save that money. But obviously that's good advice, you know what I mean? But a lot of people, their cost of living right now is more than what they make, you know what I mean? And they're going in debt every month. But then it's also like high rent prices, so I guess you could just say like look for somewhere cheaper, but then it's like I feel like it's very hard to look for somewhere cheaper. Like cuz people living in like one bedroom apartments and they're struggling to pay rent, you know what I mean? Like and yeah, I just feel like it's not that simple, but his advice is good if you have the money left over, you know what I mean? And you have the opportunity to choose a cheaper place to live.
The housing market has become so unaffordable for most Americans over the past 4 years, and I want to show you what happened. In February of 2020, the average house in this country was $275,000. If you put a 10% down payment and got a 3.52% interest rate, your principal and interest was $1,114 plus $500 for property tax and insurance, puts your payment out the door at $1,614. The average American only needed about $50,000 in a salary with very little debt to qualify for the average home in America. That was awesome, the American dream. Now in February of 2022, the average home went up to about $350,000, 10% down, but the interest rates were still 3.73%. So principal and interest was $1,455 plus about $600 for property tax and homeowner insurance, put your payment out the door at $2,055. So you needed about $65,000 in a salary with very little debt to qualify. Still very doable. Now let's fast forward to current day, February 2024. Home prices have shot up to $415,000, 10% down payment. Interest rates are 6.75%, $2,423 principal and interest, $700 for property tax and homeowners insurance. Now you're looking at $3,123. So now you need about $95,000 to qualify if you have very little debt. So if you look at the down payments over the year, it's gone up only about $14,000, $15,000, which is a lot, but also doable in 4 years. But what really pinched Americans is how many individuals went from $50,000 to almost $100,000 in salary in just 4 years. That's why so many Americans can't afford a home right now.
Yeah, I mean, great, bro. I'm about to be an adult soon, you know what I'm saying? I'm ready to look at these numbers. And that's kind of crazy, like how that interest went like only 0.20% in 2 years. And the 2 years after that, it like almost doubled, you know what I'm saying? That's crazy. And it went from 50K to 95K to like of wage to afford a house if you have low debt. Like, and many people have debt, you know what I mean? So I don't know, that kind of sucks. Last video,
And
right?
it's especially bad the young people can't afford homes. Let me just put a very precise point on this. If you want a measure of how your economy is doing, GDP, no, I don't know what even that is. The total economic activity. Oh, no. My measure is really simple. I got a bunch of kids. Can they afford houses with full-time jobs at like 27, 28? And the answer is no way. And the answer is that 35-year-olds with really good jobs can't afford a house unless they stretch and go deep into debt. That's a complete disaster. Why? Two reasons. One, if people don't own things, they don't feel ownership of the country they're in. And the country gets super volatile because people feel like they've got nothing to lose.
Ooh, that's actually true because in like renting, it's like you don't feel like attached to the house. I mean, it's just like, oh, I'm just here temporarily until they raise prices or until I find a better place to go to or I get kicked out or whatever. But like if you own somewhere, then like you own it. I mean, like you're locked in with it basically, unless you want to go through the whole process of selling it and stuff. But it's like I feel like you feel more sense of like attachment. You know what I'm saying? And that's a good thing though, because then you like. So you're more encouraged at work because you're working for something, you know what I'm saying?
When you have a lawn, trust me, you're thinking long term. Second, it's really hard to have a family without a house. It's like super fun to live in an apartment if, there's like a bar downstairs, you're in a cool neighborhood. I'm in East Village, it's so cool. So you're not gonna have 3 kids there, you can't. Nobody wants to raise their kids in that neighborhood. Nobody wants to raise their kids in an apartment. People do it because they have to, nobody wants to. People want a little house, not some McMansion, just a little normal house. That is the actual American dream. And that is what is totally unattainable for young people.
Yeah, to be honest, I just feel like home affordability has gotten a lot worse in recent years, you know what I'm saying? And obviously, I'm young, so it's like so all I know about the topic is from online and people talking about it. So maybe I'm only getting one perception of it or perspective of it. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think about the actual situation. I'm not speaking like how I think is the truth, you know what I mean? I watch these videos to spread information and how other people are thinking to you guys, and you guys can take their perspectives and like mix it in with what you got and see how that outputs, you know what I'm saying? So you have more understanding, more different perspectives. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think, yeah, just educate me if you guys think my take is wrong or anything, or if you guys think any of the takes in the video are wrong. But yeah, like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.